I'm announcing today we're going to file several bills in Springfield. I don't have bill numbers for you because the drafting deadline is today. We're still waiting for some of them to come back, but basically with the spring legislative session starting this week, I want to give people an update on some of the efforts we're going to do to try to protect groundwater moving forward with the aquifer. As you all know, the task force is now set up and the members have been appointed. We believe, I believe, my hope is that that's actually going to provide a much better work product on a much larger basis on a multitude of issues than just what we're introducing here today. And so I'll say at the outset that my hope is that these areas, while there's going to be legislative action filed, my hope is that these will be looked at by the Aquifer Task Force and then vetted and expounded upon to actually get a better work product at the end of the day. And if that's the way it works, I think we'll all do very well. But first and foremost, many of you know about the People's Gas leak here north of Mahomet. It took over 9-10 months for anybody to find out about it. The public notice requirement was frankly ridiculous and frankly dangerous. Homeowners were impacted, had no idea what was happening. Local government bodies had no idea what was happening. Quite literally myself found out about it walking through Panera's one day because Lucas Schoonover showed me a cell phone video of Derek Eisenman lighting his water on fire. And that was 10 months after this had occurred. That's unacceptable. Jim Risley lives across the street, got no notice, right? At the time. Kerry Gifford, who represents Sangamon Valley Water, the mayor, the Mahomet Water Treatment Plant, no notice. That's a big issue, and I'll let them explain why. But one of the things we're going to file today will improve upon the notice requirement. We're going to basically require DNR to notify individuals in the affected area, as well as government bodies and government officials, so that everybody knows what's happening when it happens. And we're not taking 9 or 10 months to figure out what happened later. Another interesting thing that we looked at, oil and gas, gas storage requires no trust fund, no fund to be available to immediately access to begin remediation when there is an event. So unlike other areas of the drilling and mining industries where you have to post bonds and have things available in the event of a spill or a leak, gas storage does not. So we're going to file legislation requiring these companies to have go-to funds available for immediate environmental remediation. Mandate the DNR to annually inspect our underground storage facilities and tanks and wellheads. This is a huge issue. It's a huge issue nationally. It's something I don't think anybody really around here thought of until this happened. But the fact that we weren't inspecting those is in my thought, a monumental failure of the entire system. And so those inspections should be performed by the state through DNR, but also they should be paid for by the companies, not by the taxpayers. So that will be in that legislation. Companies must consult with third-party environmental remediation experts in the event of an event, and those outside third parties must certify their corrective action plans and conduct oversight of the cleanup. I think, one of the fundamental problems here with the People's Gas is they've had the local team who's trying to manage, the well field itself and clean this up at the same time. They need somebody else with the expertise to come in and do the job right, not just try to have fit it in when it's convenient and not impacting their other working duties at the field. We're going to require that companies must file emergency action plans in advance with DNR, so there's no delay in addressing on-site emergencies. Require the Department of Natural Resources to review all of its current practices regarding oil and gas drilling and storage, to recommend to the legislature ideas for best practices and legislative changes necessary to further protect enhanced groundwater and air quality. Require companies to immediately provide fresh water for residential businesses or agricultural purposes to any impacted party and on an ongoing basis until such area has successfully been remediated. This will be a Class 4 felony if they fail to do so. One of the significant problems with PG's response to this has been their sort of playing coy and footsie with water and bottled water. and it's something that can hold over citizens who are impacted by them, and that's just flat out wrong. So if there's been a spill, if there's going to be a leak, you're going to get those folks clean water, and you're going to keep getting them clean water unless and until that's cleaned up, the spill's cleaned up. I mean, there's just no excuse for that kind of behavior, zero. We're also going to have several shell bills. What are shell bills? They're bills that legislators kind of put in a bucket and hold on to them to amend later with other language. The thought process is either the Mahomet Aquifer working group that Jim Risley's a part of, or maybe the Attorney General's office, who currently has their court case against, proceeding against People's Gas, might need something. We might need to do something, so we'll have those and hold on to them, and just have them with us in case we need that. Again, my hope would be, and I'm going to let everybody else talk, my hope would be that the work group will look at these areas and pick up where I left off, improve, put these concepts through the ringer, do a thoughtful review, a methodical study, and fully vet them, and then come up with a better work product. And so, if it appears to me that the legislative working group is doing what it needs to do, then I think I'm inclined to let it do that, because we'll get a better work product in the day. If it appears to me that the working group is unproductive, then I am going to reserve the right to go ahead and move these bills this legislative session. And I hope that also serves as somewhat of a heavy that we can hold over the heads of People's Gas and other companies moving forward to try to move this. As far as the remediation events go, everyone here knows that the Attorney General's office has filed suit. That is in court. The EPA in December further added to that complaint with their own testing, which was frankly, a direct response of this community demanding the EPA actually move on it and take some action. And they've been out and did over 40 of their own tests. Those samples have now been forwarded to the Attorney General, and they've been incorporated against the action against People's Gas. But a lot of what we're trying to do here, frankly, is prevent this from happening again. But the issues related to water, drinking water, this is a farming area. At least one of my constituents is animals that won't drink the water. I mean, if you pour, if you got cattle and you go to the spigot, turn on the spigot, cattle won't drink it. And so, their damage, PG coming forward and says, we'll give you a bottle of water to drink at home. That's not helping their business. And that's a small family farm operation. It's not helping their business. So this is significant. I am looking forward to working on this. I'm really looking forward to working with the task force. Again, my hope is the task force will take these topics and many more seriously. The other thing that I don't have a complete report on, but I appreciate Jim Risley bringing this up before we came in here. We've been working to try to get the Prairie Research Institute at the University of Illinois directly involved into the cleanup effort. Because this is in court now, that becomes a little bit more difficult, but nobody has more research knowledge about the Mahomet Aquifer, what the substrata looks like, where the water is, than they do. And so I've had a number of what I would say is good and positive conversations with the state EPA and the Illinois Attorney General's office, direct staff that is in charge of prosecuting this case, about bringing them in as an expert witness. Now, the interesting thing about that is, and to Mr. Risley's point, it would be nice to have them sort of on retainer, if you will, going forward. They obviously have the knowledge base and can help us. I know that EPA has started 3D modeling of the underground to see where this leak actually has gotten to, but it should never have taken 10 or 11 months to get to that point. It should have been immediate. And so we're going to introduce legislation. We're going to follow through with the working group's help.